I'm Bill Stevenson, the news director for iFiber One News. We invited 60 candidates from 30 Grant County elections to join us to talk about the issues. Today we're going to talk with a person seeking a position on the Ephrata School Board, Lois Gibbens. We asked her competitor, Larry Duffner, to join us, and he did not respond. So today's episode, we're going to talk to her about the issues and the things that are coming up in the future and what she hopes to do on the Ephrata School Board. Lois, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on the Ephrata School Board?
Absolutely. I have been involved in education my whole entire life as a student, as a parent, as a teacher, as a substitute teacher, as a supervisor of student teachers, and I'm keenly interested in what's happening in education. I think most people would agree that education reform probably began in 1983 under the Reagan administration when a report was released entitled A Nation at Risk. And so it was at that moment that educators, teachers, administrators, school boards began to look very seriously at how we are delivering education and how are we doing. And we weren't doing so well. So that really began this sea change in really improving education all around. I'm interested in education reform. I have 4 grown children, all of whom graduated from Ephrata High School, and I was a teacher at Ephrata High School for more than 20 years. But I began my career in the Pasco School District in 1969. So education has been my life from the beginning.
All right, great, thank you. Are you ready for our questions?
I am.
So, why did you decide to run for office?
Well, I think I kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm really interested in reform, and I follow the news regarding education. I follow what's going on at the state level and nationally and certainly locally. And even though I'm no longer in the classroom, the last 2 years I spent as a sub in the Ephrata School District, and so I'm still in and out of the buildings, and I have a sense of what's going on. But I really want to be involved. I care about what's happening with kids. I care about what's happening with education, and I want to make sure that I can contribute in some kind of way to the outcome of kids in this school district.
All right. So what is the most important thing to improve in the Ephrata School District?
Well, I think that on the whole, I would say things are going well in the Ephrata School District, but there definitely are going to be some major challenges coming along. A lot of it has to do with Initiative 1351, which was voted by the voters and passed by the voters in Washington State, and it deals with class size. This year, the state legislature has granted funds to provide for lowering class size in K through 3, but they did not allow any funding for 4 through 12 as far as lowering class size. That's huge, because if the funding comes through, the Ephrata School District is going to have to be looking at facilities. They're not going to have more kids, but they're going to need places to put these kids because the class sizes will be smaller. And the research is clear. Students do better in a smaller class size. There's no question about that. So that's probably going to be one of the major challenges that the district's going to have to deal with.
Okay. Watch the thumping. Moving on to something that's a little more important to us than probably school board members, but we ask everyone running for office, is the importance of open government in the position you're seeking?
Well, I went to a training that was put on by the Washington School Directors Association in July, and they really talked quite a lot about the importance of open government, and there are lots of rules and there are lots of policies and procedures and laws that deal with that whole issue. And so it's something that I'm going to have to educate myself on. I think that transparency, that's a word we hear it all the time when people are talking either running for office or are in elected office, and that seems to be a word that would suggest that I have nothing to hide. I want you to know exactly what we're doing. You need to know, the community needs to know exactly everything that's going on. We're not going to hold back and hide anything from the public. So that it's critical to a well-run organization.
All right. One of the controversial topics over the year in education has been Common Core. So I was wondering if you would be willing to share your opinions about Common Core and how it applies to the Ephrata School District.
Okay, yeah. Well, Common Core, unfortunately, has become a term that's been quite politicized. I attended the school board meeting last night in Ephrata, and I didn't keep a tally of how many times Common Core was mentioned, but it was mentioned repeatedly throughout the meeting. The administrators and the teachers in this district have embraced Common Core. Common Core, they are simply standards. They are standards that more than 40 states have agreed to adopt that will say, you know what, if you are educated in Washington State, you're going to have the same kind of education as a kid who goes through the system in North Dakota or in Virginia. You're going to have the same shot at a good education. These are simply standards, and it's a high benchmark, and it's something that we're happy and we're glad we're a part of that.
Okay. So what should the priority be for the Ephrata School District in the coming years?
Well, the most important thing that a school district has got to do, hire the best teachers they can, because your child's education depends entirely on how skilled, how talented, how passionate, how caring that teacher for your child is. And so number one, we've got to have the very best teachers that we can find, and we've got to make sure that they have the necessary training. They all have credentials when they come out of school, even newly graduated students. But once they come to the district, there is a lot of in-district training that is provided to make sure that this teacher is doing the best for this child. The absolutely most important thing that we have to do as a school district is make sure that all the kids who graduate from Ephrata High School are either career ready, college ready, or life ready. And so what does that entail? That involves a lot. And the best way to ensure that that's going to happen is by hiring the very best teachers we can find.
So what's your opinion about the current school facilities?
I think the Ephrata School District has amazing facilities on the whole, but we do have a lot of portable classrooms. And portable classrooms are sort of a stopgap measure. When there's not enough room, portables brought in. But you reach a point of saturation with portables, and I think we're about there. I think it's time to look at perhaps a bond vote to build some new buildings, provide something a little more permanent. The people who work in the district, the people who work in the maintenance department are on the scramble continuously, making sure that everything is kept in fine order, and they do a phenomenal job. But I think that the facilities are really being stretched to capacity.